we got the truckster, we brought it home, and I remember sitting there being like, what did we just do? Like, now what? Like, we just it was so fast. I just think once we got home and I sat still, I was like, are we doing this? We had no business name. We had no idea of what we were doing yet. We just owned this. And I think what made both of us feel better, and me especially at the time, was like, okay, this was $800. Like, worst case, I can find somebody to buy it.
From Fiore Communications, it's How I Got Here, a show of inspiring stories from Tallahassee area leaders, business owners, and neighbors, all the challenges, opportunities, inspirations, the twists and turns of life that led them to where they are today. Everyone has a story worth telling, and I am really grateful that we get to bring a few of them to you. I truly have been changed by my conversations with these amazing people, and I'm confident you will be too. I'm Dave Fiore, and in this episode, I speak with Sky Nobles, a Tallahassee native, entrepreneur, and the creative mind behind Fizz and Foam and Sky Pop Balloons. Sky grew up immersed in books and storytelling, a love that led her to study editing, writing, and media at Florida State University, and eventually to a career in public relations. Sky's path has been fueled by curiosity and connection. After experiencing agency life at Bow Stern, the Zimmerman Agency, and now at True Story PR, her journey took an unexpected turn when a Pinterest-inspired idea led to Tallahassee's first mobile bartending service for weddings and other special occasions. That success opened the door to Sky Pop Balloons, a spin-off that adds color, joy, and a little bit of whimsy to any occasion. Today, Sky juggles entrepreneurship, a growing PR career, a thriving social media presence, and the launch of Tallahassee Gals, an online community designed to uplift and connect local women. Along the way, she's learned the power of trusting her instincts, asking for help, and staying grounded in purpose. We began our conversation talking about growing up in Tallahassee.
I started off at Hawks Rise Elementary School. I loved Hawks Rise. I moved to Deer Lake Middle School and then Childs High School, and I actually ended up finishing my final year of high school virtually, but only because I was on campus at TCC, now TSC, at the time. So I ended up skipping a grade and graduating early.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So tell us about your family. What was family life like when you were young and, parents, siblings, the whole deal?
So I'm the oldest. I'm the eldest daughter. I'm dreading the Taylor Swift song coming out called Eldest Daughter because who knows what emotional turmoil that will give. But my name's Skylar Autumn, and I was named after the autumn skies. I go by Sky. I have a younger sister named Willow Breeze. She was named after the breeze in the willow trees, and she is 2 years below me. And then I have a younger brother who's actually attending FSU right now. His name is Stone Rivers, after the stones in the rivers. And no, my parents are not hippies. Believe it or not, that's always the follow-up question. Right. My mom wears Lily Pulitzer and Tory Burch. She is not... I don't know where it came from.
So they never talked to you about the inspiration for the names?
My dad, I think, had some inspo, but not particularly. My mom lives in Chattanooga right now, and my dad lives in Jacksonville. So my mom is no hippie. That's the funniest. That's the best part of the whole name origin stories.
Right. Talk about what life was like for you. What was, family dynamics? What did you do as a kid? Kind of set the stage for that.
As a kid, I loved reading. I wouldn't fall asleep with a stuffed animal. I'd fall asleep with a book. I loved reading of all kind. I still do to this day. Last year, I read, I think, 110 books alone. I do...
Fiction? Or
I tend to stick with fiction, but I have been reading more nonfiction, self-help, and even autobiographies, biographies lately, just to kind of expand a little bit. I've not read everything out there, but sometimes it feels like that. So I've had to broaden my horizons a little bit. I will say last year I did read a lot more non-fiction-ish style books.
Right. So what were your plans after high school? What had you thought maybe you might be doing when you graduated?
I always knew I wanted to go to college. That was a pretty set in stone. There was a point of time, probably the first freshman, sophomore year of high school where you go through every major career in your head and which one's best for you. And I was like, I want to be a surgeon. Started watching Grey's Anatomy. I don't really like blood. So that was axed.
That's a problem.
It sure is. Yeah. And then I was like, that major career that is, what every career fears, like be a doctor, be a lawyer, that's crossed off next is lawyer. So I was like, I want to be an attorney. And that was my plan up until probably my sophomore year of college at FSU. I did go to TSC. I have 2 bachelor degrees. I majored in geography and I majored in editing, writing, and media. Geography is always what gets people when I tell them that.
I was going to ask the same thing.
Don't ask me to point to a state on the map. I will fail you. And then you will question if I genuinely do have a geography degree. I do, I promise. But what
did you study?
Geographical information systems. So surveying and mapping. Yeah. My husband, who at the time was my boyfriend, his family does that. And I was really interested in it. So I kind of started to pursue that. And I was interested in it. I wasn't necessarily bad at it, but I didn't love it per se. It was kind of something that was just like going through the motions. And I also pivoted and double majored in editing, writing, and media, which FSU doesn't have a journalism degree. I do love reading, and I'm a very strong writer. After college, I ended up choosing between 2 jobs. One was with the Zimmerman agency, and one was with an agency called True Story Public Relations. I ended up going with Zimmerman, stuck there for a year. I started off in the advertising world, really enjoyed it, but knew it wasn't for me long term. I knew I'm a very creative left side of the brain person. I'm very strong in writing, as I mentioned. I'm very good with ideas, as you can see with Fizz and Foam. So I ended up pivoting towards PR, and I have never been anywhere else since. I love PR. I loved advertising, and it gave me such good tools to know how multiple things work. And like at the end of the day, the marketing umbrella is so big, but they're all cogs in a machine that to make the car drive. So I'm in PR now. I love PR, and this also kind of completely glanced over the Fizz and Foam thing, but that's more of the professional day job kind of career. And
we'll come back to that. So let's talk about True Story and how you got it. So you were at Zimmerman and then ended up still going to True Story later.
I was at True Story, and I like to say I absorb pieces of the things people say and do around me to build me as a person. Mm-hmm. I think we all do, and we don't realize it, but I think I'm so aware of that. And when I declined the True Story job, my boss now, Whitney, who's fantastic, Whitney reached out and just asked me why. She thanked me for letting her know, and we've kept a good relationship throughout that year. After about a year, I realized I just kind of wanted something a little bit different. So I'm the biggest poster child for imposter syndrome. That's something fun fact about me. Yeah. So I didn't, even though I had her email address and I had that prior connection, I didn't feel comfortable just emailing and saying, hey, like, are you hiring? So I went back through the entire application process. I went back to her website, filled out a full application, and also something else that justified it in my head outside of just being, I don't want to act like she owes me a personal response, was that the person I was a year prior, the amount of experience I gained from Zimmerman was astronomical. So it was a whole different application for me, a whole different professional applying. So she messaged me within minutes after I hit submit. She's like, let's talk tomorrow. So that's how that ended up. And I've been there for about 2.5 years now.
Okay.
Almost 2.5. Nice. And I love True Story. Yes.
And you focus on tourism and hospitality?
Travel, hospitality, tourism. Okay. Yes. That kind of public relations.
I guess after your internship with Bow Stern, then did you decide at that point to go back and get your master's?
I was very unsure of what I wanted to do. I was not life-wise, but more next step-wise. Did I want to just enter the workforce immediately, or did I want to get my master's? So I went back and forth, and then I ended up looking through the master's for communications and digital studies at FSU, and I really liked the course load, and I saw it was going to give me a lot of different tools. Then my boyfriend at the time proposed in February of 2020, right before COVID hit, in Switzerland, of all places. So we actually were on the cusp of COVID coming from France and Switzerland, so we really missed all of that, gratefully. And while I was looking at, as every girl who gets engaged starts looking at Pinterest, the motherlode,
you gotta have a board.
The motherlode of wedding ideas. I came across one photo of a California, it had to have been like Calabasas, like a very bougie, affluent area of a mobile bar. And I saw that, and I looked at, my husband's name is Jonathan. I looked at Jonathan and I said, and him and his dad are very into cars. What is this vehicle? What if we did one? And he looked on Craigslist. He's like, okay, like, let's look. I'm 21 at the time. I'm never opened a business. I've never had any experience doing anything close to that.
Yeah.
So the first thing I know is, do I have competitors? That's just, I think maybe from my degree or maybe just having some logical thinking, critical skills. I was like, are there 8 mobile bars in Tallahassee? Like, I've never been married. You know, I don't know what the wedding scene is like, what vendors are out there. So I did a deep dive. So I was Googling mobile bar or bar on wheels, trailer bar. Like, I had to really dig deep, and I couldn't find anything. And I was still so nervous that just because I didn't find anything doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And then in that process, my husband was looking for, fiance at the time, an entity to create a mobile bar with. He looked on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, everywhere. And we'd either find something that was very crappy and cheap that would have just been not even worth anything.
Right, yeah.
Or okay-ish, but outrageously priced. And I mean, we were looking for a vehicle, and like, we are fresh undergrads. We're not even considering or thinking about a business loan. Like, this is a very much a brainchild, you could say. And we just kind of tabled it. We're like, oh, well, this was kind of a fun little idea for this week. Mm-hmm. Oh, well. Nothing to find.
So at this point, you're back home. And
from
has COVID started?
COVID has just hit at this point.
Okay. So all the normal ways of interacting with people, of going out for the night or having a drink or social, that's all shut down. That
whole idea, Pinterest, fine, looking at competitors and searching on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace was very much that March 2-week lockdown where everybody was home. If you remember those 2 weeks, that was the 2 weeks. And then after that, we're like, next. So fast forward, this is like the craziest, like one of those, do you believe in signs or the universe shows you ways, the energy you put in, very, very hippie of me for a person named Sky. But this is one of the craziest things that has always made me kind of start believing like things do happen for a reason. Jonathan and I were looking at having our wedding in Atlanta, northern Georgia, a little bit above Atlanta. We booked a venue and everything. It was, sorry for jumping times, this was before that 2 weeks. This was in February. So before the world had really even shut down at all. COVID was very much in China and had just started hitting France or Italy. Italy and France.
Italy, yeah.
Yeah. So we were in Atlanta. We ended up putting down a deposit for a venue. And then COVID hit and we just did not feel good about it. I just didn't want to commit to something or lose more additional funds down the line. So we ended up backing out. We actually lost that deposit and everything. They wouldn't give it back to us. That's also kind of when the 2-week period came of like the mobile bar thing. And well, Tallahassee could use one. And I just had this like gut feeling. I was like, this could be successful here. There's nothing like it. I know so many people in town who would have and who will book something like this. I was sitting on my phone, it's COVID. Not much people have much going on. And I was going through my Instagram stories. And I never go through the whole list of people. I usually click on the first 10, close my phone. And I was just so bored that day. I think I went through every single Instagram story posted that I could see. Mm-hmm. And one was from that photo booth camper in Atlanta. And they were selling my truckster. They said, this is for sale.
Oh, wow.
First come, first serve. And it had been posted like 15 hours prior. So I'm not seeing it first. I immediately screenshot it and sent it to my husband. And I messaged them before I sent it. I'm like, before he replied, I was just like, hi, is this still available? I'm interested. Because she didn't list cost. She didn't list, is it still available? Right. But there were no other stories saying, okay, sold. My husband was like, okay, like, let's get it. I'm like, okay, well, it's Tuesday. They're in North Georgia. Like, let's just see what they say. And she replied, she's like, yes, it's available. And I believe she charged us $800. It was under $1,000. It was $800.
Wow.
$900 at the most, but I think it could have even been $700 at the time. 2 days later, my husband got a trailer and we drove all the way up and we bought it. And that's the craziest thing is like this vendor that I loved so much for a wedding that Atlanta wedding never happened. Out of all places, we ended up getting married in Utah, but that never happened. And then that's how I found the truckster. So we got the truckster, we brought it home, and I remember sitting there being like, what did we just do? Like, now what? Like, we just it was so fast. I just think once we got home and I sat still, I was like, are we doing this? We had no business name. We had no idea of what we were doing yet. We just owned this. And I think what made both of us feel better, and me especially at the time, was like, okay, this was $800. Like, worst case, I can find somebody to buy it for $800.
Yeah, small investment.
Yeah, I was like, I'm either going to break even or maybe even make $100. Who knows? But I was like, it can't go that bad yet.
Right.
So I think we just kind of sat on it for a month or two. We just weren't really sure what to do next, what we wanted. I had to research alcohol and beverage laws because that was something I did not know. And that was a lot. That was a huge, heavy lift on the back end of the business.
So let's talk about that. Do you need a liquor license to open?
I do not. And I had to pay an attorney a lot of money to figure that out. And not in a I got in legal trouble way, but in a I'm not starting this business until I have an answer from a professional way.
So no spirits, just beer and wine seltzers?
We can serve anything. Okay. We can't sell anything. So as long as I am serving it and the client is the one purchasing it, like they purchase
your services.
Correct. We're a service and rental company.
Right.
Correct. So that's how that works. And we did all of the work on the truckster ourselves. I came up with the name Fizz and Foam. Where did that
name come from?
I was thinking fizz from champagne and foam from beer. I really didn't want to. I knew we were doing taps, but I knew I don't love beer. I love a sour beer. That's the best I can do. So I knew I just did not want this to only be beer. I knew there were other women, other girls, other men, other people out there who don't just like beer. And I just remember knowing I wanted it to be white because I didn't want something to clash with another person's wedding or event. I wanted the logo to be cool and unique, but I also didn't want that to be something like bam out there in your face because and not that I think I love a fun logo, but I knew I would be on property in wedding photos and your wedding albums and you're in the background of your grandpa's 80th birthday. So I didn't want some neon green thing that would ever limit me from somebody booking me because I'm just so out there. Fizz and Foam is kind of what I pulled together from all of that research, and Fizz and Foam, and then I made our little slogan, I'd tap that, as a fun little like raunchy nod. And that's how the logo became created. My sister's friend dabbled in graphic design and made the logo. It's actually a drink ring. When you set your cup down, that's what the yellow part is. And I love that little aspect because it's a circle, it's subtle, it's very logo-ish, but it has that tie-in to the beverages. And we did almost all of the work on the truckster ourselves. The only things we outsourced was we got it wrapped instead of painted. It was more affordable. And we took out no business loans. We actually used all of our graduation money we were received from friends and family, which we were so blessed and lucky to have. And then some. We kind of pulled from our own funds. We did not go into any debt to create it. And it was a very low start. I mean, to start with, the biggest entity was $800. So, and we didn't need like a location, anything like that.
So how did it go at first? How was that launch and getting those first few clients?
So I started to post teasers and kind of behind the scenes on social media almost immediately. Like once we had a logo made, I was out there on social medias. I made a Facebook page, Instagram. I think I made a TikTok. I did have a TikTok pretty quickly for Fizz and Foam specifically, but maybe not initially. I made a LinkedIn. I think I just claimed the handle of everything. And the first thing I did was make a website domain, and that was Fizz and Foam. I wanted to just be Fizz, the word, and Foam. That was taken. So our website became Fizz and Foam Tap, T-A-P. And so that's our handle for everything. I knew consistency was important. So Fizz and Foam Tap is our handle for almost every single thing.
Okay.
And claimed all my usernames. Once I had a logo, I started to tease things. My friends and family knew we were up to something. But like I said, nobody really knew what we were doing. Nobody knew what a mobile bar was. Like it, even to this day, like now that they're way, way wildly more popular, I still have to take time to kind of explain.
So let me ask you this. The law, as far as consuming alcohol within so many feet of the establishment where it's sold, or because you just can't walk around drinking alcohol.
We only do private events.
Okay.
So a wedding. Our wedding is our bread and butter. So as long we can't make a singular cent off of alcohol, whether it's beer, wine, or liquor, we cannot make a cent off of alcohol because that's deemed I sold it to you, and that to sell something alcoholic, that's where you need a beer, wine, liquor license.
And we'll be right back. How I Got Here is sponsored by Barano Heating and Air Conditioning in Tallahassee. I've been friends with Patrick Barano since we met in a chamber leads group about 15 years ago. I'll admit that I pursued him pretty hard to be his marketing firm and eventually won him over. And the reason I wanted to work with him is that I was already a customer and I knew what kind of company he and his father before him had built. He cares about his customers, he cares about his team, and he cares about this community. I've experienced Barano Heating and Air when they installed a complete system replacement a few years ago, and I enjoy peace of mind and same-day service with my Total Comfort Service agreement. I've also been behind the scenes at their office and seen firsthand the true character of this company, and that's why we're so proud to represent them. To learn more or to schedule an appointment online anytime, visit baranoac.com. They really always will be there for you. And now back to the show. So again, I kind of cut you off, but how did it go as far as before you started? Did you have momentum right out of the gate or did it take some time?
I had momentum right out of the gate, which surprised me. Like I said, I posted a lot of teasers. I generated excitement, both on purpose and accidentally. Like I didn't think I knew the full effect of what I was doing at the time, and in a positive way. I didn't realize how much generating interest and excitement of the unknown was going to benefit me. And now I do know how much that held value. I think I was just excited personally, and I did want to hype people up. But now I know, like as a marketing standpoint, how valuable something like that is. And I had at least 8 people ready to give me money in hand before I'd ever even posted a picture of what it looked like. So I didn't let them pay me. I was too nervous. And I communicated with them. Actually, my very first client, I just did another event for her last weekend. She's fantastic. Her name's Betsy. We have a relationship to this day. She's amazing. She was my very first client, and she was so ready to pay me for her wedding about a year away. And I told her, like, hey, this date is yours. I will accept your money on August 20th, the day after we launch, August 19th. I want you to see photos. I want you to see videos. I want you to make sure this is what you want before you pay me, because I would have refunded her. I'm not a bad person, but I didn't want to be in the position of like an awkward position. So that was my conversation with anybody ready to pay for me was like, absolutely, I will take your money on this date. And Betsy was ready to book me in like May. Like she was ready. So, but
I think a little bit of that was the imposter syndrome, and you weren't sure yourself about things.
Yes, 100%. I did think that it was imposter syndrome. I genuinely did want to make sure I was in the midst of planning my own wedding, and I knew how much things mattered to me, and I'm a very detail-oriented person. So I just automatically assume whoever I speak to is just as detail-oriented, and if they're not, no hard feelings, but it's just easier to assume they're looking at all these details. And so I just wanted to make sure what I created was what they liked, you know, because there are other mobile bars out there, but there were none that really looked exactly like me at that moment. Like there were more horse trailers or piegos, a little Italian thing, which is very similar, but also completely different in looks because we're an American truckster. And the minute we launched on a Saturday. Sunday, I emailed Betsy saying, you know, hey, we launched. Here's our Instagram. Here's our photos. If you're still interested, let me know. I'll send you over the proposal. If not, absolutely no hard feelings. Monday morning, send me the bill. So she was my first ever booked client, and she'll forever hold a spot inside my heart. And we've done multiple events together, ranging from the truckster into balloons. And I just did a balloon event for her. Yes.
Well, you mentioned the balloons. Talk about some of the other brands. It's kind of evolved, right, to other services.
Yes. So the balloons are the funniest thing. We like to joke that I accidentally started another business. And that's truly how the balloons started is for the launch, I put balloons on the truckster. I wanted to just have a big, fun celebration. So I blew up cheap Amazon balloons. I think the only other time I worked with balloons was for a personal in college Halloween party, the October prior, like almost a year prior. Blow up these really crappy Amazon balloons that looked great to me back then, probably looked great to anybody else, but now I'm a balloon girl, so I'm like, oh my God, that's so...
Those are trash.
Yes. And so blew up these Amazon balloons, hung them on the truckster, did all that, and then about a month or two later, I did some marketing. By marketing, I mean iPhone photos to post on my Instagram. Marketing photo shoot, and I blew up FSU-themed balloons, also Amazon, and I blew up pink balloons. I don't know if I was going for the breast cancer awareness kind of marketing angle or if I was doing just to show a completely different vibe, because I kind of had yellowy, goldy for the launch. FSU, obviously, you can figure out the math for why I would want those. And then I just did some pink ones. All Amazon, all cheap, all DIY, hung them. And then as I started to get more bookings, people would ask if they could add on the balloons. I'd never thought about that. I was just taking these to make my photos on Instagram really pop, really show you. Yeah. So, of course, I'm a young business person and somebody's like, I'll give you more money to do something you've already done. I'm like, okay, yeah. So I started to charge for that if they wanted it. And I was still using Amazon balloons back then, but I was also charging that cost. Like it was exactly what they were paying for kind of situation. And then it kind of snowballed into, I want to book the truckster. Can I have balloons on the truckster? And do you think you could do balloons on this wall or the front door? Sure. So then it just slowly snowballed into more and more and more.
Like balloon arches and all that kind of stuff?
And I didn't know this at the time. So for Fizz and Foam, I did all this research. Did I have a competitor? Was I entering, a 5-competitor market in a small town? Balloons, I had no idea. I didn't know. I mean, my worst and best trait is how hard can it be? I'm always going to try to figure something else and try to do it myself. And that has gotten me some trouble. It's also gotten me a few businesses.
Yeah.
So in my mind, how hard can it be? I'm going to do balloons. I don't need to even see if somebody else does them. Nobody was doing them, turns out. So I was the only one even remotely doing something similar. And then I turned into Sky Pop balloons. I now know I don't touch Amazon, Walmart, Party City balloons with a 10-foot pole. All of our balloons, we call them the Louis Vuitton of the balloon world. They come from the closest place we can get them is LA, Los Angeles. So I have to order them special order.
Sky, what have you learned over this process over the last couple of years of starting the businesses, growing the marketing, the dealing with vendors, dealing with clients, customer service, the back end, the finances? That's a lot to learn and do all on the fly, right? So what have you learned most when you look back on that?
I think what I've learned most is taking a risk, even if people doubt you, that doesn't make it less worthy to do that because, like I said, nobody knew what I was doing. Even if I explained it, showed them example images. And it really worked out. I think business-wise learning, like I said, I'm a very big of how hard can it be. That did get me in trouble a lot because my mindset was like, oh, we can do our own accounting. How hard can it be? It's hard, by the way. Turns out it can be quite hard. So we do have an accountant now.
Smart move.
I think the biggest lesson I learned in every aspect is that it's okay to lean on other people. Even if you pay them, you're still, and to my head, paying somebody for a service when I could, like I said, how hard can it be? Do it myself is leaning on them in a sense. And I'm very independent, hard-headed, and I'm like, how hard can it be? I can do it. So learning that it can be hard, I cannot do it. And if I can do it, it may not be to the best of its ability. Let's hire somebody who can.
All right. So when it comes to work and your vocational aspirations, there's still another area, right, where you're an aspiring travel creator and influencer.
Yes.
And those were your words from your bio. I'm not sure when someone flips from aspiring influencer to actual influencer. So, so tell us about that part of your life and how that fits into your goals, overall.
I like to joke that I have 48 hours in a day because people don't know how I do it all. I don't know how I do it all. I think I'm just very task-oriented. So that kind of ties into that. We travel a lot personally. I also do travel for work as well. So just having so much background in running all these business social medias, interning to run social medias, working for an agency that does social, paid ads, influencer marketing, and PR, I kind of see the value of so much of the behind the scenes of that stuff. I work with influencer marketing as well in public relations. I know those are two separate careers, but it kind of combines in my role.
Yeah.
So I do see, I've met some fantastic people. I've seen the value, not just monetarily, but just the value of their posting and how it contributes to communities and local restaurants, local businesses, local cities, the tourism. I think that's so cool. And I have so much content that I just video for fun. And so I started to make an effort about a year ago to create a page and actually stick to it. I've done okay with that. I am busy, and that's kind of it's a jobby. It's not a hobby, but it's not a job. It's more of a hobby than a job, but jobby, you could say. So I gained, I don't think it's a big following only because I work in influencer marketing and work with some people who have millions of followers, but I did gain some following, upwards of 20K on TikTok. So that's kind of where it snowballed. And I know that it's probably a lot to anybody else, but just I think because of me, I don't feel like that is. So I do try to be a little bit more consistent.
I always look at that and I tell people with podcast numbers and stuff, if you could put 20,000 people in a venue and have their attention and talk to them or give them a message,
that's huge.
You'd be happy with that. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. So,
it is.
It's not the Kardashians or something.
No.
But the standards are not.
Yeah.
20,000 people who follow you and are interested in your content.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is. Yeah. It is. I just think because I work with so many mega influencers sometimes, I'm like, I don't even mention it. I'm like, I'm just over here with my 20K. But I have tried to be more consistent. I think it really is something I just genuinely enjoy is posting that. I have a different Instagram account for it. It's kind of turned into like, I do run so many of my own business-wise Instagram accounts that like I made one just for travel, but it got to the point, I made that like 2 years ago, I believe, maybe 3, but I was just not so active on it because I still had my Sky Nobles Instagram where I was just posting pictures of me and my family, me on vacation, things like that. And it got to the point where I was like, I'm one person doing a lot. I need to cut something out. I can't cut out these business ones. I can limit what I post. Like I can kind of cut back on the content because I do plan out and do all my own content. I'm going to solely just start treating this travel Instagram as my only Instagram account for Sky. So that's what I've been doing. I do sometimes fall back into the like normal day posting of like, I'm at Black Radish tonight. I have been posting more travel stuff. It's taking the time to edit. I know like people think influencing is I've seen influencers do their job. I'm nothing close to like a traditional through and through influencer, but even as a hobby, it is something that it's a lift. That's a job. For sure. Yes.
All right. So tell me about Tallahassee Gals. What is that?
Yes. Okay. So I worked with this group in Dallas, Texas called Dallas Girl Gang. And it's this women's group of, at the time, it's probably larger now, of 40,000 people on Facebook. So it's a Facebook group. It's a group in general, but Facebook is where it kind of originated. They do all kinds of things from, I'm sure you've seen a Facebook group of Tallahassee foodies, like, things like that. It's very similar to that, but it's only women. And it ranges from things like, we have this event going on, here's ticketed events. So Dallas Girl Gang would sell tickets to like, they have like a big expo I don't know if I ever want to get that large. If I do, cool. But I realized there's not really much in Tallahassee for like women, especially professional women. I mean, I've built a community, but it's taken 5 years to do that. So I just made this Facebook group and a website and such to kind of start that. And I want it to turn into, I really don't want it to become something that women have to pay for per se, unless it makes sense or there's something of value for it. I want it to be a resource, a way of connecting both professionally and socially. There's one thing about Tallahassee I've noticed is we're such a transitional, I think is the word, demographic. We have so many people who come in for session and then leave. We have so many people who come in for college. We have 3 big colleges here and then leave. And they're all coming and they may not know people here. And there's so much to do in Tallahassee. And I feel like people are like, Tallahassee's so boring. No, you've just never left downtown or Tennessee Street. Like you gotta branch out a little bit. So I started this group just to kind of start facilitating things like that. I do hope to make it experiential almost, to have events, both virtual, free, paid. I don't want to do a paid event unless it's like worthy of the money. I do know everybody's dollar counts. So I really don't want to charge dollars. I want it to be worth it. And whether it's having a professional come speak to other professional women, whether it's having, one thing I really like, one of my top goals for at least 2026, 2027 is to do kind of like a breast cancer awareness bar crawl in Midtown where you buy tickets, you do that, a donation goes, other vendors, maybe it's downtown, just an area that's somewhat walkable is doing like a pink dress crawl where women dress in pink dresses and they go support in a fun cause and you all get together. So just things like that, I guess, where it's kind of a community element on every back, front, side in where you get together a group of women, you involve local businesses that ideally profit in some way, shape, or form from being involved in an event like that. And then at the end of the day, we donate this to a breast cancer, a TMH, something like a foundation of that jazz. But that's like a big goal for me.
Have you launched it yet?
Tallahassee Gals is launched. You can join it. I think it has, I haven't looked lately, 600, 700 followers. I could be overinflating that number by a lot. There's a website as well. Eventually, we want to make it it's under construction, but have a directory of businesses that are solely women and minority women owned and kind of notate which are what. And then, like I said, do things of events of that nature where we involve other businesses for charitable crawls. I would also love to do things like happy hours, kind of things where you can come and you could spend $5 or you can buy the whole bar out if you want. Like I really want it to be something where you make your own choices. And I think one of the biggest things is financial barriers or just barriers to entry in general. I don't want to ever have that be something that would stop somebody from participating.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, you mentioned your husband, Jonathan, and that he proposed to you in Switzerland.
Yes.
So that sounds pretty romantic.
Yes.
So how did you meet? Tell us your story.
Okay, so we knew of each other in high school. He's from here as well. He went to Lincoln. We kind of had the same sort of outsider friend groups, you could say. Like, I wouldn't say it was our main friend groups, but people we knew. So we knew of each other.
There was some overlap.
Yes. And we did not date or really get to know each other until college. So we like to say we're college sweethearts instead of high school sweethearts. I like to say we really met in college and started dating then. We are so similar but so different in all of the great ways. We like all the same things, but he loves sports. I hate sports. So I don't like to say we're yin and yang because we're very much the same, but we're also so different, which I think is just great. We met there, we dated all through college, and then we got engaged post-college in Switzerland in Zermatt but in front of the Matterhorn, the Toblerone mountain. And then we've been married since July 2021. So we've been married for 4 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So where does he fit into all these adventures? And he probably helps with some of the photos and the content creation.
My joke is that he's my unpaid intern. He also thinks that's funny, but then he's also like, it's a little true. But he is paid, don't worry. He helps with the business. We like to say he's the muscles and I'm the brains. And then he is very much a big part of the content creation. I like to say he's my now Instagram trained husband because he's very good at taking photos now.
That's no joke.
Yes.
There are a lot of women who would like to have a partner who knew how to handle an iPhone.
Every time I send a photo to my friends, they're like, dang, Jonathan did good. I'm like, I know. It's taken like 9 years.
Yeah, with me, it's like, show it to him. No, that's not it. Show it to him again. And like, no.
So he's very much in front of the scenes and behind the scenes of all of the things. He's not...
So the businesses too?
Very involved in Fizz and Foam.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. You also volunteer in the community.
Yes.
With Lemoyne Arts Chain of Parks Art Festival.
I just started that, actually.
Okay. And Boys and Girls Club of North Florida. So tell us about some of that involvement and why that's important to you.
Yeah, it kind of not only is being involved in volunteering rewarding, but also it is another way of connecting with other people you may not have connected with before. And Lemoyne Arts, the Chain of Park Arts, I actually just got involved with that like this month. They needed public relations volunteers, marketing area. So had my first call with them yesterday. They seem like a fantastic team, and I'm really excited to be a part of that. And then the Boys and Girls Club actually came from forging connections through Fizz and Foam. And then Boys and Girls Club, we did stuff with it was like a year ago. I volunteered with them. And then Treehouse of Tallahassee with the fast cars and mason jars, same thing. I actually found connections for that organization through Zimmerman Agency. Some of the girls there, one of the women there, Juliana, she's very involved, and she got me involved during that year. And then Cleaver and Cork with the Tallahassee State College Foundation. Yeah. I'm very involved in that. We've been part of Fizz and Foam has been part of their food and wine festival since the very first year. And that was actually our first, they gave a $500 stipend the first year, and we had no idea we were making any money. We were just there for community. We got a $500 stipend, and I remember that was the first time our business bank account, because we never took out loans, was more than breaking even. That was really what vaulted us into being like a profitable business. So I always have a special place in my heart for TSC. And I don't know if this was in my bio, they awarded me on October 1st, they're awarding me with the Soaring Eagle Award at TSC. So that was very kind.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's very kind of them. Once again, the imposter syndrome. I'm like, me? Are you sure? Are you sure? But I do have I went to TSC first, and they have such a special place in my heart. They're foundation members. One of my best friends actually works there. And Heather Mitchell, the head of, I don't know her exact title, but head of TSC Foundation in my head.
Yeah, Heather does a great job.
Yes, she is amazing. She's another person like John where I'm like, I know she's going to get it done. So,
all right. So Sky, looking back, what is the one thing or person that changed the trajectory of your life to this point?
That's a great question. I would say probably my in-laws. I would say my in-laws really did change. They're very supportive people. They're both successful business owners, and they have a lot of life experience. So not only are they supportive, I think somebody being blindly supportive isn't always very helpful. They're very logically supportive. So they really showed they believed in us. They believed in me. They show up to every single thing for me. They're very, very supportive. And the minute they didn't ask a singular question about, well, is this a good idea for Fizz and Foam? They're like, if you clearly think it's a good idea, like this is a good idea, okay, we'll help in any way we can. So they've spread the word, they share it, they are just very, very supportive, kind people. And I think that was the first close adults in my life that really had the foundation of support that made me feel confident. Obviously, your friend from college you met can be like, you're going to do great, but they don't know how running a business goes. These people did to me. So I was like, okay, they're not just supporting to support. They're also, they would say like, are you sure about this? If they thought. So I would say they really did. I don't know if they realized it, instilled the confidence to keep going in moments where kind of the moments where we brought the truckster home and we were like, now what? Kind of thing. So I would say them. My father-in-law specifically, he still is involved in his business today. That it's now owned by somebody else, but he's still very involved, and he is very smart, and he is also very kind. He does all kinds of stuff for the community as well.
That's great. All right, so final question. This podcast is named How I Got Here. So we've talked about how you got to this point in your life.
Yes.
Where do you think here might be for you in 3 to 5 years from now?
3 to 5 years from now, I envision I'm still in public relations in that sphere of the world. I do think I'll still have event businesses. I have been slowing down to have more of, I was so go so fast right out of college that we realized we were kind of watching life pass us at the same time. So we've made a conscious effort to say no. And I think I'm going to get better at that and have more time to say no. And I really think this Tallahassee Gals thing is my next big launch. And I'm hoping in 3 to 5 years that it will be a well-known name in the Tallahassee community, a brand, an organization people want to partner with for advertising, not necessarily paid, but, Chain of Parks art system. I envision it being a bigger part of the community, like I said, charitable events and, hosting things of that nature and really forging connections between other people. So I think that's my 5-year goal. Become a big Swiftie, that was one of them, and launch the Tallahassee Gals to, it's already been launched, but grow the Tallahassee Gals to really be something worth knowing and being a part of right now. Right now it's just a Facebook group, and that's how all good things start somewhere. So I would love for it to turn more into more of a brand per se.
Thanks for listening to the show. You can subscribe at Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, please leave us a review. It really does make a difference. Thanks to my amazing staff at Fiore Communications, who pick up the slack while I'm working on these podcasts, and to Troy Bloom for composing our theme music. You can hear more of Troy's creations on Facebook and Instagram at Troy Bloom Music. To connect with the podcast or suggest a future guest, follow us on social media or email us at podcast@fiorecommunications.com.